everyone, Lakey here, and today I want to talk about sentiment that I've seen growing in the community that specifically is about ammo types or ammo conversions. With the Canada Day update, we received a lot of ammo types and conversions for many different weapons, and in the Halloween update, we can also probably expect to see a lot more as there's more ammo types and conversions in the test plays. Off the back of this though, the community has had a mixed reaction to them. Some are just people glad to be getting more content and updates in the game, while others have pointed out the apparent lack of practical use for some of the conversions. I would say I'm a mix of the two. With Stylus working on Call of Robloxia, I was skeptical about if we would even get very much for Phantom Forces updates during this time at all, so I am kind of impressed with what they've been able to do in the meantime. On the other hand, I do feel that there's a good amount of ammo types that don't provide much benefit or practical use, and on most of my weapons and my loadouts I don't even really choose to use most of the new ammo types, or if I do, sometimes the effects of it just don't feel impactful enough to notice that I've got it in my loadout at all. The meta though in Phantom Forces is such that you can succeed with really any weapon and ammo type, so I am glad that ammo types are not overbearing to the point where it's you either use it or die, but I think some struggle to have a practical use despite having a statistical upside. And that's the tricky thing with these ammo conversions and whatnot. There needs to be enough of a benefit to encourage someone to use it, but not without downsides that can't be felt, and so some of the ammo types and conversions just miss the mark on that. So with this, the community has not held back on expressing the same, that some ammo types are just not useful in much sense at all, and it's good for people to express that opinion. But others have lamented that we should be getting other kinds of things, like other content and whatnot for the game. This, however, is where I think we run into the problem bigger than just the ammo types. People think that it's something simple as just creating content instead of ammo types, but as the Stylus devs have been working on Call of Robloxia, and for seemingly longer than we may think, that means that content for Phantom Forces as far as updates go aren't necessarily happening the way we may think. So the updates currently are being led by Mar, who isn't technically a Stylus developer and is a contributor, but they are pretty much the main dev, the lead dev, main contributor, whatever role you want to give, and they are heading the content as the main core of Stylus has shifted their main focus to Call of Robloxia. And from what I know, Mar is limited in what he can do and create for the game, not only by his abilities, but also what he's actually even allowed to do and the jurisdiction that he has in regards to different content in the game. So like coding, for example, is not something that I think Mar is fluent in at all, or if he is, it's just to do the basic things as far as weapon balance and whatnot, and nothing super serious. So if we were to take vote kick, for example, I'd love to see a reason added to the syntax, and I can't imagine that doing it would be very hard from a coding perspective, but Mar can't do that, and he doesn't code. So we're stuck with the vote kick not having an updated syntax until another developer with the necessary abilities can change it. And so any coding task that's even just a little bit expansive in nature beyond a basic level just won't seem to happen. And I don't really want to fault Mar for not being able to do that, because that's kind of just the way Stylus has structured their stuff as far as roles go, and so this isn't anything out of the ordinary. It would be like getting mad at Shaylin for making a map instead of coding the framework. It just doesn't make any sense. So seeing a new weapon skin or attachment or player faces and uniforms like we've seen is definitely in the areas that Mar is strong with, and as such we've seen much of our updates have to do with these areas. But because of these limitations, we're stuck in many ways as far as the updates that we can receive. With the main core of developers working on Call of Robloxia and the current Phantom Forces dev being limited by ability or content restriction, updates are probably not going to be addressing the areas we'd like as a community. So we've seen more things like ammo types and attachments and map changes. And I think that this will last a while as well. While it does seem that once Call of Robloxia gets more developed to a more stable point, I guess, the core developers of Stylus can definitely draw more focus back to Phantom Forces, but there is also one large barrier in the way, and that is the Phantom Forces framework. based on what Lido has said in the past, the framework being out of shape is blocking a lot of the more exciting updates from happening, and so a total rework of that, which has been teased in the past, would be necessary to get the ball rolling. That, or porting over Call of Robloxia's framework into Phantom Forces, as Shay mentioned to me, could also be a solution, but that would be very tricky and very ambitious of a task to carry out, and also requires a ton of work, I would imagine. Whichever route is taken, it's going to be time consuming, which, as I hinted at earlier, will just mean a longer period of waiting until we can expect something more different from our regular updates of weapons, maps, attachments, and balance changes. And Lido even stated this himself, saying that Phantom Forces is in a weird state of development, and that the content now is just to kind of keep the game alive, and that Lido himself is kind of more interested in not being tied down to a project, and that's why Call of Robloxia is happening. One could wonder maybe why the changes to the framework weren't addressed sooner, but I also suspect that Call of Robloxia has been in development longer than we may have known about it. I can think back to my 2018 Q&A with Shaylin, where Axis mentioned from the background that he was indeed working on a new project, as at that time rumors of a Call of Robloxia game were flying around. And considering that they have built up their own physics from the ground up in the new Call of Robloxia, it's not surprising that it's taken a few years to get that working smoothly, especially considering the size of the stylist team. And with this as well, I think we can also see a silver lining where Phantom Forces may have been put a little bit on the back burner, but for Lido to go to this new project and to work on it and get more coding experience could definitely open the doors for things to be innovated upon in the Phantom Forces framework, so seeing a framework rework or a Call of Robloxia framework ported into Phantom Forces would definitely be, I guess, more optimal doing it after Call of Robloxia is established as opposed to doing it before. So while we may not like the direction that some of the newer content may have taken, I'm not optimistic that there's much that we can expect to see outside of that. I would like to note that I'm not saying you can't dislike ammo types or take issue with how they operate. I myself take issue with some of the specific ammo types as well, but it's just the near future that looks bleak for some of the updates the community may be expecting. So expecting something different than attachments, ammo types, weapons, and skins won't really get you very far. However, as my recent Q&A with Shay mentioned, we will probably be getting a mix of different content soon in the game. And again, as mentioned, once Call of Robloxia is really on its feet, I think maybe, just maybe, we could see the Phantom Forces framework getting a bit more attention to open the doors for new content. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.